I won $50 million in the lottery. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the ticket. I grabbed my 4-year-old daughter Emma and rushed to tell my husband the amazing news. But when I got to his workplace, I heard voices that made my stomach hurt. His voice and another woman's voice. All I could do was stand there frozen, but that moment changed everything forever. My name is Maya. Before that terrible day, my life was simple and quiet. My husband, Robert Chen, worked at a big law office downtown. He was my first boyfriend, the only man I ever kissed. We got married 7 years ago and had our beautiful daughter Emma 5 years ago. She was my whole world, my sunshine. After Emma was born, I stopped working at the bookstore to stay home with her. I cooked, cleaned, and made our house feel warm and safe. Robert earned the money for our family. He left early every morning and came home very late at night. Even on Saturdays and Sundays. He said he had important work to finish. I felt sad that Robert worked so much and never said anything mean to him. I told myself I needed to be a good wife and support him. Sometimes Robert got angry and yelled, but I stayed quiet. I thought all married people had problems sometimes. As long as we loved each other and cared about Emma, I believed everything would be okay. We had almost no money saved because Robert said his law office needed all the money to grow bigger. I believed everything he told me without asking questions. That day was a Wednesday. The sun was shining bright over Seattle, Washington. Like every morning, I made Emma pancakes with strawberries for breakfast. She sat in the living room building a tall tower with her colorful blocks. While I was folding laundry, I saw a lottery ticket stuck to my grocery list on the refrigerator. I bought that ticket yesterday when I went to the Safeway store. It was raining really hard outside, and I ran into a tiny gas station to stay dry. An old woman selling lottery tickets looked at me with kind eyes and asked me nicely to buy one for good luck. I never played the lottery before, but I felt sorry for the old lady. So I bought one ticket and picked some special numbers. My birthday, Robert's birthday, Emma's birthday, and the day we got married. Now, looking at the ticket on my fridge, I laughed a little. It was probably worth nothing, but something made me curious. I took out my phone and went to the lottery website to check the numbers just for fun. The winning numbers from last night showed up on the screen. I started reading them quietly. 8, 15, 27. My heart started beating really fast. The ticket in my hand also had 8, 15, and 27. My hands started shaking as I kept checking. 39, 42, and the special ball was 9. Oh my goodness. I matched all the numbers perfectly. $50 million. 50 million. I tried to count how many zeros that was, but my brain felt dizzy. I dropped my phone on the kitchen floor. I sat down right there on the cold tiles, feeling like I might throw up. I actually won the lottery. My first feeling wasn't happiness but complete shock that made me feel sick. I took deep breaths, and then suddenly I started feeling incredibly excited and happy. I started crying really hard. I couldn't believe it. Oh wow, what amazing luck this was. I was rich now. My daughter would have a wonderful future ahead. I could buy a beautiful house with a big backyard. She could go to the best schools with the smartest teachers. And Robert, my dear husband, wouldn't need to work so many long hours anymore. All the stress from work, all the money problems, everything would disappear. He wouldn't come home tired and grumpy anymore. We would finally be happy together. I imagined Robert's face when he heard this incredible news. He would hug me so tight and be so happy. My love for him, all the years I stayed home and took care of everything, could finally help him achieve his big dreams. I couldn't wait even one more second. I had to tell him right this minute. I grabbed my purse and carefully put the ticket in the secret zipper pocket inside. I picked up Emma, who looked confused at her mama. Emma, sweetie, we're going to see Daddy at work. Mama has the biggest surprise ever for him. My little girl giggled and wrapped her arms around my neck. I ran outside and called a taxi using my phone. My heart was pounding so loud in my chest. I felt like the whole entire world was smiling just at me. Me, just a regular stay-at-home mom, was now the owner of $50 million. My life, Emma's life, our family's life. Everything was about to become amazing right now. I squeezed Emma's tiny hand and whispered to her, Emma baby, our whole life just changed completely. The taxi stopped in front of the tall glass building in downtown Seattle where Robert's law office was located. This was his dream job, his pride and joy. I had gone everywhere with him when he was looking for this job. I stayed up late helping him practice for his interviews. I held Emma in my arms, my heart beating so fast, and walked through the big front doors. The lady at the front desk, a young woman named Sarah who knew me, smiled big and said hello. Good morning, Maya. Are you here to see Mr. Chen? I nodded my head, trying to keep my voice normal, but I couldn't hide how excited I felt inside. Yes, I have some incredible news to tell him right now. He's in his office working. Does he have someone visiting him? The girl stopped for a second and looked confused. I think so, but I didn't see anyone walk in through here. Should I call him first to let him know you're coming? No, don't do that, I said quickly, waving my hand and smiling really big. I want to surprise him completely. Just keep working, okay? I didn't want anyone to interrupt this special moment for just the two of us. I wanted to see Robert's face with my own two eyes when I told him we had $50 million. I walked quietly down the long hallway toward his corner office. The closer I got, the faster my heart was beating. I was about to see the man I loved more than anything, the person I trusted completely, and I was about to give him a gift he could never even imagine. His office door was open just a tiny crack. Just when I was about to lift my hand to knock on the door, I heard a sound from inside that made my blood turn ice cold. It was a quiet giggle, sweet and flirty. Come on, honey. Did you really promise me that? That voice sounded familiar to me. It wasn't a business partner or a client talking. I stopped completely frozen, and a terrible feeling filled up my whole body. Emma in my arms made a tiny noise. I quickly covered her mouth gently with my hand and whispered "Shh" very quietly. And then I heard Robert's voice, the voice I knew with every single breath I took, but now it sounded strangely soft and sweet. Why are you rushing me so much, darling? Let me handle things with that boring housewife I married. Once I take care of that situation, I'm getting divorced immediately. My heart broke into a million pieces. Boring housewife. He was talking about me, his wife. Divorce. He wanted to divorce me. I stepped back, shaking all over, and hid around the corner of the wall where they couldn't see me. Emma, feeling my fear, stayed perfectly quiet and buried her face in my shoulder. The woman's voice spoke again, and this time I recognized exactly who it was. It was Jessica, the woman Robert introduced to me as his work friend who sometimes came to our house for dinner. A young pretty woman with a nice smile. I actually liked her and trusted her. And your big plan? Do you really think it's going to work out? I heard your wife has some money saved somewhere. Robert laughed in a mean way, a laugh I had never ever heard from him before. She doesn't know anything about real life at all. She stays locked up at home all day long. She believes every single thing I tell her without asking questions. I already found out about those savings she has hidden. She told me she used all of it to buy a college fund for Emma. Perfect. She just trapped herself with no way out. I heard the sound of clothes being removed, the sound of kissing and touching, and then disgusting sounds and quiet moans that, even though I was innocent, I understood what they meant. I stood frozen in that spot like a statue. The $50 million lottery ticket in my pocket suddenly felt like it was burning a hole through my clothes. Oh my goodness. The joy and happiness from just minutes ago completely vanished, leaving only a bitter, disgusting truth that hurt so badly. My husband, the man I trusted with my whole heart, was cheating on me right there in his office at work. And it wasn't just cheating and betrayal. They had a plan, an actual plan to get rid of me completely. I bit my bottom lip so hard it started bleeding. I was trying so hard not to let the crying sounds escape from my throat. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The man I shared a bed with every night, the father of my baby girl, called me a boring housewife and a burden. Tears poured down my face, hot and bitter and painful. Emma in my arms lifted her big innocent eyes to look at mine and tried to wipe away my tears with her small hand. My heart felt like someone had stabbed it with a knife. What should I do right now? Should I walk in there and yell and scream at them? Suddenly, a strange calmness came over my whole body. If I walked in there right now, what would I actually gain from it? I would lose everything I had. I would be the failed wife whose husband left her. And maybe I would even lose custody of my daughter. I took a deep breath to calm myself down. I had to hear more of their conversation. I needed to know exactly what they were planning to do to me. Inside the office, after they finished their disgusting activities, the voices started talking again. This time it was Jessica speaking. "Robert, what about that plan with the fake $75,000 debt for the law office? Do you think it's actually safe to do? I'm really scared about it." Robert's voice sounded confident and reassuring. "Don't worry at all, my love. The accounting guy is someone I trust completely. The fake papers, the loss reports, the massive debt, it's all prepared and ready to go. In divorce court, I'll tell the judge the law office is about to close down and go bankrupt. Maya doesn't understand a single thing about finances or business. She'll panic like crazy and sign the divorce papers immediately without fighting. She'll leave here with absolutely nothing, and on top of that, everyone will think she abandoned her husband when he needed help the most. All the real money and assets from the law office have already been secretly transferred to a different company in my brother's name. She'll never be able to find any of it, no matter how hard she looks." The floor felt like it was opening up beneath my feet. What cruelty, what pure evil and wickedness. After we get married officially and the law office becomes stable again, if I want the kid, I'll just take her back. This last sentence was like a hammer smashing my heart into dust. Even his own daughter was seen as a tool, an object that could be thrown away and picked up later whenever he wanted. My tears stopped falling from my eyes. An icy cold feeling ran down my entire spine. The man in that office was no longer Robert, the husband I loved with all my heart. He was a monster, a terrible monster. I looked at Emma, who had fallen asleep peacefully on my shoulder, not knowing what was happening. "My daughter, forgive your mama. Mama was too trusting and naive. But don't worry, my baby. I won't let anyone take you away from me. I won't let anyone hurt us ever again." I held her tighter against my chest. The $50 million ticket in my pocket was no longer a gift of good luck. It was my weapon now. It was the lifeline for me and my daughter, and it would be my tool for revenge against them. I turned around and walked away as silently as a ghost in the night. I couldn't let them discover I was there. I had to get out of that building immediately and fast. The receptionist Sarah saw me leaving with a surprised look on her face. "Maya, you're leaving already. You didn't even get to see Mr. Chen." I forced myself to make a crooked smile, my voice shaking and trembling uncontrollably. "Oh, I forgot my wallet back at home. I have to go get it right now. Please don't tell Robert the first was here at all. I want to come back tomorrow to give him a big surprise." "Sure thing, Maya. No problem." The girl seemed confused and puzzled, but she didn't ask me any more questions. I rushed out of that building as fast as I could. As soon as I sat in the back seat of a taxi holding my daughter, I let all the sobs and cries explode out of me. I cried for my stupidity and foolishness. I cried for my dead love that was now gone forever. I cried for the cruelty of the man I thought was my whole entire world. The car drove away from downtown, taking with it a woman who had just died inside and another woman who was being born from the ashes of betrayal and lies. His plan was a $75,000 fake debt. But I had $50 million. "Really, Robert, you chose this horrible path. Now we're going to play a game, and I'll play with you until the very end." The taxi stopped in front of our small familiar house on our quiet street. I barely had the strength left to get Emma out of the car. My entire body was shaking, not from being tired, but from overwhelming shock and betrayal. I paid the driver with trembling hands, almost dropping the money on the ground. I stumbled into the house with Emma in my arms. Thankfully, she was sleeping soundly on my shoulder and didn't have to see her mother's pitiful state. I gently laid her in her bed, took off her little shoes, and covered her carefully with her favorite blanket. Looking at her angelic, peaceful face, I couldn't hold back my emotions anymore. I ran to the bathroom and locked the door behind me. I turned the water faucet on full blast as loud as it would go to cover up the sound of my crying. I sat on the cold bathroom floor, holding my chest tight, and sobbed my heart out. I cried like I had never cried in my entire life. The tears ran down my face, hot and bitter and painful. I cried for my fate and destiny. I cried for 7 years of love that was ultimately nothing more than a complete lie. The man I called my husband, whom I trusted blindly with everything, to whom I was about to hand over a fortune, was sleeping with another woman. Not only that, he called me a boring housewife and a burden on his life. He cruelly planned to kick me out with nothing and worse, with a $75,000 fake debt, an amount that even if I worked like a slave my whole entire life, I could never pay back. He wanted to destroy me completely. He wanted to make absolutely sure I could never get back on my feet again. Why would he do this? What did I do wrong to deserve this? I stayed home taking care of our daughter, cooking his meals, washing his clothes, keeping the house perfectly clean. I saved every single penny we had. I didn't buy new makeup or nice dresses. It was all for him, for Emma, for the supposedly struggling law office. And all my sacrifice and hard work in his eyes was just that of a burden and a parasite. Suddenly, I remembered the $50 million ticket in my coat pocket and his $75,000 debt plan. What terrible irony and cruel fate. Never in my entire life had I felt so completely ridiculous. If I hadn't won the lottery today, if I hadn't thought to go to his office, what would have happened to me? I would probably receive the divorce papers in a few weeks from now. I would be in total shock about the $75,000 debt. I would kneel on the ground, begging him for mercy, and end up leaving humiliated, losing my daughter and my future forever. The more I thought about it, the drier my tears became, slowly being replaced by a flame of pure rage and anger. No, it wasn't just rage. It was hatred. A hatred that reached deep into my very bones. My love for Robert died the moment I heard him say, "If I want the kid, I'll just take her back." A father who talks about his own daughter like she's an object, a tool to control his wife. He's not a human being. He's an animal. And I lived with an animal for 7 years without knowing it. I was so incredibly stupid. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. A messy woman with swollen red eyes and a pale face stared back at me. Boring housewife. Yes, maybe I was boring. I was boring for believing in one true love. For believing in promises of forever and fidelity. But from this moment forward, that boring housewife is dead and gone. I had to live and survive. I had to live for my daughter. Emma was my life, my reason for breathing. There was absolutely no way I could let a monster like Robert take her away from me. He wanted me to leave empty-handed with nothing. I was going to teach him what it truly felt like to have nothing at all. He wanted to play games with fake papers and fake debts. I was going to play a much bigger game with him. I took a deep breath and dried my tears with a towel. The cold from the bathroom tiles gave me a strange sense of calm and clarity. I had to make a plan, a detailed plan. This $50 million ticket was a secret of life and death. No one could know about it, not even my parents. At least for right now, it was my ultimate weapon. I had to claim this prize money as safely and secretly as possible. I couldn't do it in my own name. If I did that, when we got divorced, Robert would find out immediately and be entitled to claim half of it. Even if the prize was won before or after the divorce, he would find some way to get it from me. I needed someone I could trust absolutely. I had to keep acting normal. I had to continue playing the role of the naive wife who knew nothing about anything. I had to let Robert and that terrible woman's little play continue smoothly without interruption. I had to let them believe that I was still the naive little sheep, easy to manipulate and control. I had to gather evidence and proof of his betrayal. I needed proof that Robert had 2 sets of financial books, that he avoided paying taxes, and that he moved assets illegally. He wanted to push me to complete ruin with a $75,000 debt. I was going to push him to actual prison with the crimes he had committed against me. I stood up from the floor and washed my face with ice-cold water. The freezing water woke me up completely and fully. The pain was still there, like a knife stuck deep in my heart, but my reason and logic had taken control now. I was no longer the Maya from a few hours ago. Now I was a mother who had to protect her child, a betrayed woman preparing her revenge carefully. Robert, you started this war against me. Let's see what this boring housewife is going to do to you and your mistress. I left the bathroom with a cold, determined look in my eyes. The first and most urgent task was to deal with the lottery ticket safely. The deadline to claim the prize was only 90 days from now. I couldn't wait too long, but I also couldn't go claim it myself. If a huge amount of money suddenly appeared in my bank account, Robert would know something was wrong. He was my husband, even though he was a cheating, lying husband. Even if he didn't care about me anymore, such a big financial change wouldn't go unnoticed by him. Also, he was investigating my finances to plan the divorce. Any move I made could raise his suspicion. I needed someone I could trust absolutely. Someone who would never betray me. Someone who would keep this secret until death. I thought about my parents. My father was an honest and simple man, but exactly because he was so honest, he sometimes talked too much. If he knew his daughter had $50 million, he might accidentally tell the neighbors in a moment of joy, or be easily tricked by Robert if he came asking questions. That left only my mother. My mother was a woman who had worked hard her entire life. She didn't have much education or schooling, but she was careful, quiet, and loved me more than anything in the world. My mother would never do anything to harm me ever. Yes, only my mother could help me with this. I waited until nighttime came. Robert came home as usual, looking annoyed and grumpy. He threw his briefcase on the couch and loosened his tie around his neck. I had a terrible day at work today. Is dinner ready yet? Yes, I mumbled quietly, pretending to be tired. Dinner is ready and waiting. You go take a shower first and then come eat. He looked at me closely. He saw that my eyes were a little bit swollen and red. What's wrong with you? Have you been crying about something? My heart skipped a beat, but I had already prepared my answer ahead of time. I put my hand to my forehead. I think I'm getting sick. I felt bad since this afternoon. Do you think I can take Emma and go stay with my mother in Spokane for a few days? I need some fresh air and I really miss her home cooking. It was a test to see what he would do. If he tried to stop me, it meant he wanted to keep watching me closely. If he said yes, it meant he still trusted that he had me completely in the palm of his hand, and my absence for a few days would give him even more freedom to be with his mistress. Robert's eyebrows came together for just a second, and then he nodded his head. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Go rest for a few days so you can feel better. I've been really busy with work and haven't had time to take you guys anywhere nice. Here, take this. He took some cash out of his wallet, about $150, and handed it to me. Use this for your trip expenses. I took the money with trembling hands, lowering my face to hide the contempt and disgust in my eyes. His money. Me, who was about to have $36 million after taxes. I had to accept his tiny charity and act grateful. It was so humiliating, but I told myself, hold on, Maya. You have to hold on just a little longer. The next morning I packed bags for myself and Emma. I wore only my oldest, most worn-out clothes. I took a cheap Greyhound bus to my hometown in rural Idaho. My hometown is in a small farming community about 5 hours away from Seattle. Sitting on the bus with Emma in my arms, I looked out the window at the passing scenery. I wasn't going home to rest or relax. I was going home to take the very first step of my revenge plan. As soon as my mother Linda saw me and her granddaughter, her face lit up with joy. She rushed over to greet us with open arms. My daughter, why didn't you call ahead to tell me you were coming? Where's Robert? Didn't he bring you here? I felt a little sick, so I came to spend a few days with you, Mama. I waited until nighttime when my father went to play cards at a neighbor's house, and Emma was already fast asleep in bed. It was just the two of us alone in the small kitchen. I got down on my knees and hugged my mother's legs tight, crying real tears. Mama, Robert betrayed me. He has a mistress. My mother was in complete shock. She dropped the soup spoon she was holding. What are you saying, Maya? Robert is such a good man. How could this be? I shook my head, my face covered in tears. He's not a good man, Mama. He's a monster. He's with Jessica, that woman he said was his work friend. I caught them together in his office. They're planning to divorce me and want to stick me with a $75,000 fake debt so I leave with nothing, and so he can take my daughter away from me later. My mother staggered backward, holding on to the kitchen counter for support. Her face turned completely pale. She knew her daughter better than anyone in the world. She knew I would never lie about something this serious and important. The fury of a protective mother exploded. My God, that terrible man, that animal. Having a wife and daughter like you, and he does this. I'm going to Seattle right now. I'll tear that woman's hair out, and I'll have a serious talk with that worthless husband of yours. No, Mama. I stopped her quickly and firmly. Because a big scene now, I lose everything. I even lose Emma, Mama. I looked her directly in the eyes, my voice strong but filled with desperation. Mama, I'm begging you. You're the only one who can save me and Emma. I took a small object wrapped in many layers of paper from inside my shirt pocket. It was the lottery ticket. I placed it carefully in my mother's rough, work-worn hand. Mama, I won $50 million in the lottery. My mother's eyes opened as wide as they could go. She looked at the ticket in her hand, then at my face. She thought I was in shock and saying crazy things. Maya, my daughter, what are you talking about? Are you okay? I started crying again. It's true, Mama. God didn't abandon me completely. I won $50 million, but I can't go collect the prize myself. If Robert finds out about it, he'll steal everything from me. Mama, you're the only person I trust in this whole world. You can go collect this money for me. Claim it and put it into your bank account. This is the money for me to start my life completely over, to fight for custody of Emma. You have to keep this secret, Mama. Don't tell Daddy anything. Don't tell a single person. Can you do that for me, Mama? My mother was trembling as she held the ticket in her hands. She could barely read well, but she recognized the number $50 million written there. She looked at me, and her expression went from shock to compassion and finally to a terrifying determination. She was a woman too, a mother. She understood her daughter's pain better than anyone. She nodded her head firmly. Yes, I will do it. Rest easy, my baby. This stays between us and God above. I won't let anyone steal a single penny from you. I'll go collect the money. Just tell me exactly what I need to do. I hugged my mother as tightly as I could. The two of us, two women in that small kitchen, now shared a huge secret. A secret that would change all our destinies forever. I carefully explained every single step she needed to follow. She had to first call the state lottery headquarters and schedule an appointment to collect the prize. She had to bring her identification card. When she got there, she could ask to remain anonymous and private. She just had to say that she wanted to receive the money by direct bank transfer. I had already prepared a new cheap phone, and the next morning I would take her to open a new bank account at a small credit union Robert would never suspect or find. The money, about $36 million after federal and state taxes were taken out, would be completely safe in that account, waiting for the day I needed it. After 3 days in my hometown, having given the most important mission to my mother, I took Emma and returned to Seattle. My mother went to the lottery headquarters wearing a face mask and completely disguised so no one would recognize her. All the paperwork was completed without any problems. The money was successfully deposited into her bank account. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. The weapon was loaded and ready. It was time to return to my battlefield. I made sure to get home late in the evening when Robert was already back from work. I wanted to create the image of a tired, weak, fragile wife after the trip. As soon as I opened the front door, I saw Robert sitting on the couch watching a basketball game on ESPN. He didn't get up to hug his daughter or help us. He just looked at us and asked in a bored voice, "Are you back already? Are you feeling better now?" I picked up Emma, pretending I could barely walk. "Yes, I'm feeling a bit better now." Emma missed home and didn't sleep well at all while we were gone. I set Emma down on the floor, and she ran to her father asking to be picked up and held. Robert lifted her reluctantly, gave her a quick kiss on the cheek, and put her right back down. Go play over there so Daddy can watch the game in peace. I watched the scene, my heart aching terribly, but I quickly controlled my emotions. I quietly carried the suitcases to our bedroom. Robert followed me into the room and closed the door behind him. I got scared, thinking he might want to do something, but he didn't touch me. He just stood there with his arms crossed, looking at me with a very serious expression. Here we go, I thought to myself. He's going to start his act now. Maya, he called in a grave, serious voice. Sit down. I need to talk to you about something important. I pretended to be confused and worried. What's wrong, Robert? Is something bad happening? The law office has big problems, he said. I took a deep breath and sighed. It's very serious, Maya. I'm going to be completely honest with you right now. The biggest clients canceled all their contracts. The new equipment we just bought got delayed, and I can't find the money to pay for it. I'm about to go completely bankrupt. I opened my eyes really wide, covering my mouth with both hands. My acting performance was so convincing that even I was surprised at myself. Oh my God, how did this happen? What are we going to do, Robert? Robert stared at me with searching eyes. I've been borrowing money from everywhere I can. I've already asked all my friends and colleagues. Now the only option left is the bank, but they want collateral, and our house still has a mortgage on it. He stopped talking as if it was very hard for him to continue. I heard that college savings accounts for children are really good. They protect their education in case something happens, and they also build up money for when they're older. I raised my eyes to him, tears starting to fall. I was going to tell you when you were in a better mood and work was going well. I didn't know the law office was in such bad trouble. I don't have anything left, Robert. I spent it all already. What? Robert shouted really loud. He grabbed my shoulders hard and shook me. What are you saying? What did you spend it on? It was thousands of dollars, Maya. I told you to save that money for emergencies. The physical pain from his grip was nothing compared to the pain in my heart. I cried, sobbing and stammering my prepared story. It was for Emma. She needed things for school. I felt so bad for her. I made a mistake, didn't I, Robert? I'm so sorry. I just wanted to make sure our daughter's future was secure and protected. I clearly saw, for just a split second, a flash of relief in Robert's eyes. Maybe even joy and happiness. He believed my lie completely. He believed that I, his stupid wife, had just cut off my last possible escape route. That money, once put into a college fund, was practically impossible to get back. It couldn't be easily withdrawn to be divided in a divorce. Everything was going exactly according to his plan. He let go of me and pretended to put his hand to his forehead, rubbing his temples with a pained expression. My God, Maya, what have you done? That money was supposed to save the law office. Why didn't you ask me first before doing this? Now we really are completely done. We lost all the savings, and the law office is almost bankrupt too. He grumbled, walking back and forth in the room. He was finishing his performance as the dedicated husband, the poor, struggling lawyer. I could only sit on the bed and cry. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. What should I do now? What if I go back to my hometown and ask my parents for money? Forget it, Robert cut in immediately. Your parents in rural Idaho barely have any money themselves. Even if they sold all their land, it wouldn't be nearly enough. Done. There's nothing anyone can do now. He sat on the bed with an expression of complete discouragement and defeat. All you know how to do is stay at home. You have no idea how cruel the real world is out there. Just leave it alone. I'll figure something out somehow. With that, he got up, grabbed his jacket from the closet, and headed for the door. I'm going out to get some fresh air. Being at home is making me too nervous right now. The front door slammed shut hard. I heard the sound of his car engine starting. He was surely going straight to Jessica to give her the good news, to celebrate that he had successfully tricked and fooled me. I stopped crying immediately. I wiped away all my tears, and a cold smile slowly appeared on my lips. Robert, oh Robert, you're such a great actor. But you don't know that I've just discovered my own acting talent too. We're going to be performing in this play together for a long time yet. You think you've trapped me in a corner with no way out? No, you haven't. You've just stepped right into the trap I carefully set for you. In the days that followed after that night when Robert went out for fresh air, which I knew perfectly well was to meet his mistress, the atmosphere at home became as heavy and dark as a funeral. I started cooking simpler, cheaper meals using the least expensive ingredients. I cut all unnecessary spending, wore the oldest, most worn-out clothes around the house, and always walked around looking sad, worried, and guilty. I looked at him with a mixture of pity and guilt written all over my face. I know I messed up badly, expression pleased him even more after the college fund incident. He truly believed he had me completely fallen into his carefully planned trap. When I felt the timing was right, one night after Emma was tucked safely in bed, I brought him a glass of warm milk. Robert, I can't stand seeing you suffer like this anymore. I'm so sorry for my terrible mistake. He looked at me with cold, distant eyes. What do you want from me now, Maya? I took a deep breath. I want to help you at the law office. I know I'm not smart or educated, but I can do small jobs. Making copies, answering phones, cleaning. Please let me do something to fix my mistake. He knew perfectly well that my help wouldn't actually accomplish anything real. But the idea of me working for free, and my humble, apologetic attitude of someone wanting to make things right, probably pleased him greatly. Plus, I figured he thought having me at the law office under his watchful eye and Jessica's too was a way to control me completely. He wanted me to see with my own eyes how terrible the law office was supposedly doing, so that when they presented the divorce papers, I would sign them without any hesitation or fight. He wanted to subject me to double humiliation, betrayal and poverty. After a long, silent moment, he clicked his tongue. Fine, if that's really what you want, it's okay with me. But I'm warning you seriously, Maya. The office isn't like our home. You do exactly what I tell you without complaining, and don't talk about our problems at home or about Emma at the workplace. Do you understand me clearly? I nodded my head quickly, as happy as if I had just won a gold medal. Yes, I understand completely. Thank you so much, Robert. I promise I won't disappoint you. I'll do everything perfectly right. And what about Emma? He asked. I've already thought about that, I said. In the mornings, I'll drop her off at the daycare center near the office, and I'll pick her up every afternoon. I'll organize everything so it works smoothly. Robert nodded. All right then. You start this Monday coming up. And Maya, don't dress like you usually do. Dress properly so you don't embarrass me in front of my colleagues. With that cold statement, he stood up and went to the bedroom, leaving me alone in the living room. I quickly wiped away my tears, but these weren't tears of humiliation anymore. They were tears of victory for my first successful step. Robert, you were the one who opened the door to the tiger's cage for me. You think I'm a harmless sheep, but you don't know that I've entered your world to expose the wolf in sheep's clothing that you truly are. The following Monday morning, I dropped Emma off at a small daycare center just 2 blocks from the law office. My heart broke into pieces seeing her cry and cling to me desperately. I promised her, kneeling down to her level. Emma, sweetheart, be a good girl and wait for Mommy. Mommy is going to work and will come back for you very soon. Mommy promises to give you the best life ever, okay? I purposely chose my very oldest, most worn-out clothes. A yellowish-white shirt and faded black pants. I pulled my hair back in a tight, unflattering bun and didn't wear any makeup at all. Looking at myself in the bathroom mirror, I was the perfect image of a desperate, boring housewife. I had to maintain that exact image. Walking into the law office building, my heart was pounding so hard in my chest. It was the same receptionist as before, Sarah. Seeing me walk in, she looked very surprised. I forced a weak smile. Hi, Sarah. Starting today, I'm coming here to work. Mr. Chin got me a position helping around the office. The girl's eyes went wide, and her expression changed from surprise to pity. It was obvious she had already heard some version of the story. Of course, The tale of the struggling lawyer whose wife had to come work for free to help pay the debts must have been a touching, dramatic story Robert had invented to tell all the employees. Robert came out of his private office, and he wasn't alone. Walking right next to him was Jessica. That day, she wore a tight-fitting red designer dress that showed off her figure, perfectly styled wavy hair, flawless makeup, and expensive perfume that filled the air. The two of them, standing side by side, looked like a powerful, successful couple. And me, standing in the corner of the office lobby, looked like a poor maid or cleaning lady. Robert cleared his throat and clapped his hands to get everyone's attention. Staff, everybody listen up. I want to introduce you to Maya, my wife. As you all know already, our law office is going through some very difficult financial times. He began his dramatic, rehearsed speech. Maya, to share the burden with me as her husband, has very kindly offered to come and help us out here. She'll handle the small tasks around the office. Things like serving coffee, making photocopies, organizing files, and general cleaning. If any of you need anything, you can ask her for help. All eyes in the office turned to stare at me. There was curiosity, pity, and even a little bit of contempt in some faces. I lowered my head submissively. Thank you all. I'm counting on your patience and help. Then Robert turned to his mistress standing beside him. Jessica, you are my most trusted assistant and the most capable person here. Can you please give Mrs. Chen her initial instructions and show her what to do? As for a workspace, she can use that small desk in the storage room corner. Jessica smiled with a sideways smirk, a smile whose meaning only I truly understood. It was the smile of the winner, the woman who had stolen another woman's husband. She walked toward me confidently, her red dress swishing. She extended a hand with nails painted bright crimson red. Hello, Maya. I'm Jessica, Mr. Chen's executive assistant. It's a pleasure to work with you from now on. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me anytime. Don't be shy at all. The way she emphasized with you, the way she said Mr. Chen's assistant, it was all pure provocation and mockery. I took a deep breath, extended my rough, work-worn hand, and shook her soft, manicured one. Thank you so much, Jessica. I'll try my absolute best. My new job began that very day. Just as Robert had said, I was nothing more than an office maid. In the mornings, I had to arrive before everyone else to dust the desks and fill the water dispensers. When everyone arrived for work, I had to serve coffee and tea to each person individually. Robert and Jessica were always the very first to be served. Maya, Jessica would call out, sitting with her legs crossed elegantly at her desk. My coffee today needs to be a strong espresso. I don't drink just anything, you know. Maya, photocopy these documents for me. 20 copies of each page. And hurry up about it. Mr. Chen has an important meeting in 10 minutes. Robert was even worse and meaner. He made absolutely sure to be cold and distant with me in front of everyone. He treated me like a low-level employee who meant nothing. He didn't hesitate to call Jessica into his private office and slam the door shut behind them. Sometimes when I went to bring water or documents, I heard their laughter inside the office. I had to stand outside and wait at the door like a servant. Once, Jessica came out of his office with slightly swollen, red lips and a misaligned collar on her dress. She looked at me defiantly, as if daring me to say something. I clenched my teeth hard and endured it all. Every single humiliation I suffered today would turn into a weapon I would use against them later. I had to endure this. I worked in complete silence, cleaning, serving, acting clumsy and slow on purpose so they would despise me even more. But I wasn't just cleaning and serving. My eyes were observing everything carefully. My ears were listening to every conversation. I paid close attention to who was friends with whom, who spoke badly of whom behind their backs. My main target was the accounting department, where the head accountant, Mr. David Thompson, worked. Robert's law office wasn't very large. It had about 15 employees total. The accounting department was in a corner room with 3 people working there. A recent college graduate named Sophie, a junior accountant named Chris, and the main manager, Mr. David Thompson. He was about 45 years old, a thin man with glasses, a perpetually serious expression, and very few words. He was one of the oldest employees, having been there since the law office first started operating. At first I felt confused and uncertain. I remembered Robert telling Jessica, "The accounting guy is someone I trust completely." If Mr. Thompson was Robert's trusted confidant and was helping him create fake financial books, I wouldn't have any chance at all. But I decided I had to try to get close to him anyway. I used my old strategy: genuine kindness and a pathetic poor me appearance. Every morning, in addition to coffee for Robert and Jessica, I prepared a cup of hot green tea for Mr. Thompson. "I noticed you cough sometimes, Mr. Thompson. Drink this tea to soothe your throat. It's good for you." Mr. Thompson looked at me with surprise, but he accepted the tea with a small nod. "Thank you, Maya. That's very kind." At lunchtime, when everyone went out to eat at restaurants, I stayed in the office, bringing a small Tupperware container from home plain white rice, some steamed broccoli, and a single fried egg. I did it deliberately and obviously. Mr. Thompson also usually brought a Tupperware container. I glanced at his lunch and saw it was equally simple and humble. I slowly approached to make conversation. "Mr. Thompson, enjoy your meal. My food isn't much, but I brought some homemade pickled vegetables my mother sent me. Would you like to try some?" I offered him a small jar. Mr. Thompson looked at me, and his expression softened just a little bit. "You have a difficult life, Maya. Taking care of your daughter and also coming to work here. The law office lately." He sighed deeply. I jumped on the opportunity, my eyes filling with tears. "Mr. Thompson, is the law office really doing as badly as Robert says? I'm so worried all the time. Robert comes home constantly stressed and irritated. Sometimes he doesn't even come home at all. I'm so scared. What if the law office really goes bankrupt? I don't know how Emma and I will survive." I wanted him to see that I was trustworthy, and at the same time, I wanted him to think I was completely stupid, without any knowledge of accounting or finance. And I started to notice something very important: the tension between Mr. Thompson and the Robert-Jessica duo. Jessica, being the director's mistress, frequently went to the accounting department to boss people around and give orders. "Mr. Thompson, why is this expense report taking so long?" "Mr. Chen is waiting for it right now." "David, my reimbursement for client entertainment expenses hasn't been approved yet. Don't you know I'm extremely busy?" Mr. Thompson, being older and a veteran employee with years of experience, felt insulted and disrespected by a young woman who treated him so rudely. He would turn red with anger, but he had to swallow his pride and stay silent. "I understand, Jessica. When it's ready, I'll bring it to you. Just go back to your desk." After Jessica left the accounting area, Mr. Thompson would mutter under his breath, "An arrogant, self-important girl who thinks she's somebody special. What a complete lack of respect." I was nearby, pretending to wipe down a table, and I saw and heard everything. I knew it right then. My opportunity was right there. Mr. Thompson was not Robert's loyal confidant. He worked for Robert because the job paid him well, but he despised him and his mistress. He despised the way Robert treated me, his loyal wife. A few days later, I deliberately stayed very late at the office. I told Robert that Emma had a slight fever and I had left her with a neighbor lady. I had to stay to finish some cleaning work. Robert nodded without really caring. He was also in a rush to leave, obviously to go be with Jessica. The office was left with only Mr. Thompson and me. Mr. Thompson looked at me with genuine pity in his eyes. "Maya, you work so hard. Men always think their careers are the most important thing. Don't take it too personally." He was trying to comfort me. "Go home to your daughter. She needs her mother." "Thank you for understanding, Mr. Thompson," I said quietly. "I'll finish up here and leave soon." He nodded and went back to his desk to finish his work. I was in the storage room, pretending to organize old files. I heard Mr. Thompson's computer make a sound, the restart sound. My heart started racing. I peeked carefully around the corner. He had gone to the small kitchen area to make himself coffee. His computer was restarting after some software update. This was it, my only chance. I quickly but silently moved to his desk. The computer finished restarting. I stared at the screen. File was open on the desktop. But it wasn't the fake loss report I expected. It was a different file entirely, named truth.xsx. Mr. Thompson had forgotten to close it before the restart happened. I heard his footsteps. He was still in the kitchen area, stirring sugar into his coffee. My hands were shaking so badly. I grabbed the mouse and clicked on the file to open it fully. Oh my God, my vision went blurry. This wasn't the fake accounting. It was the complete opposite. It was the real truth. Signed contracts, the actual money received, bank transfers to an account in the name of a company called Chan Brothers Holdings LLC. I remembered. Chen was Robert's last name. This was the secret company he had created to hide money and assets. The real result was not a $75,000 loss, but a massive net profit of over $3 million. I started shaking uncontrollably all over. I desperately looked for a USB drive in Mr. Thompson's desk drawer. I knew he usually kept one there for backup files. But it wasn't there. No. I heard his footsteps getting closer. He was coming back. I quickly minimized the truth file and pulled up the fake loss report on the screen instead. It was just in time. Mr. Thompson walked back in with his cup of coffee. What a long day, he muttered. He sat down and reopened the fake loss report, continuing to work on it as if nothing had happened. He didn't realize what I had just seen. Or did he? The file name, Truth, the forgetting to close it properly, the convenient coffee break right when the computer restarted. I wasn't completely sure. But I knew one thing for certain. I had found the treasure, the evidence. I knew exactly where it was hidden. I just needed one more opportunity. One more chance to copy that file. I looked at the computer and carefully memorized the file path and location. I would buy a USB drive tonight. Tomorrow I would find a way. Had to. That night, on my way home after picking up Emma, I stopped at a small electronics store. I bought the cheapest USB drive I could find. A simple black 16GB one. I hid it carefully in my bra, close to my heart. I couldn't sleep at all that night. My heart was pounding non-stop in my chest. I had seen the treasure and the evidence, but how would I get it? I couldn't count on luck a second time. I couldn't expect Mr. Thompson to randomly go make coffee again at the perfect moment. I had to create my own opportunity this time. I thought intensely all night long. I needed a reason, a believable reason, for him to step away from his desk long enough for me to copy that massive truth file. The file had to be very large. It contained all the real financial data for several years. A few seconds wouldn't be enough time. The next morning, I arrived at the law office with a detailed plan. I had prepared a small bottle of water hidden in my cleaning supply bucket. I continued with my regular tasks, cleaning desks, serving coffee, observing everything like a careful predator. Jessica seemed tired that day. She didn't give me as many orders as usual. Robert was constantly on the phone. He seemed worried and stressed about something. Only the accounting department remained quiet and busy. At lunchtime, people started leaving to go eat. As usual, Mr. Thompson brought his Tupperware container. Jessica, who had been complaining of being tired, stayed slumped at her desk and didn't go out to eat lunch. Robert had already left in his car. With Jessica still there, I couldn't act. I couldn't do anything. I had to wait longer. I needed patience. About half an hour later, Robert returned in his car. He stopped abruptly at the entrance door and walked in quickly. He saw Jessica slumped over her desk and approached, looking concerned. "What's wrong? Are you feeling sick, Jessica?" Jessica pouted dramatically. "I'm exhausted. I think my blood sugar is low. I need food." Robert, looking distressed, said, "Well, let's go get you some lunch. I'll take you to get chicken soup. That'll make you feel better." Jessica nodded. Robert helped her stand up and glanced over at me. "Maya, you stay here and watch the office. If anyone calls, tell them the director is out." "Got it." "Yes, sir," I mumbled. They left together. Now it was just Mr. Thompson and me in the entire office. He was finishing his lunch. My opportunity had finally arrived. I couldn't waste a single second. I quietly pushed my cleaning cart toward the small kitchen area where the electric kettle and the electrical outlets were. I looked over at Mr. Thompson. He was still eating, his eyes fixed on his computer screen, probably watching a video or reading something. I took a deep breath and took out my small bottle of water. I plugged in the kettle's electrical cord, but I left it hanging halfway loose. Slowly and carefully, I started pouring the water. Not inside the kettle, but directly onto the electrical outlet on the wall. Suddenly, a small sharp crackling sound. A blue spark jumped from the outlet, and a smell of burning plastic filled the air. Immediately, the circuit breaker in the corner of the office tripped. The entire office went completely dark. Mr. Thompson's computer shut off instantly. The sound from his video stopped. "Oh my God, what was that?" Mr. Thompson yelled, nearly dropping his Tupperware container on the floor. I ran from the kitchen area, my face pale. This time my fear was genuine and real. I stammered, my voice trembling. "Mr. Thompson, I was plugging in the kettle and suddenly it sparked. Smells like something's burning. I'm so scared." Mr. Thompson, being a careful and cautious older person, genuinely panicked at the thought of an electrical fire. "Girl, I told you to be very careful with electricity. Where exactly did it happen?" He turned on his phone's flashlight and rushed toward the kitchen area. I pointed to the outlet that was still smoking slightly. A big spark jumped out right there. That scared me so much. "Don't just stand there looking scared. Go flip the main circuit breaker switch. It's by the front entrance door. Hurry up, Maya," Mr. Thompson ordered while trying to carefully pull the burnt plug out of the wall socket. This was it. This was exactly what I needed. He was occupied in the kitchen area. I had to go all the way to the front door to flip the breaker. The path from the door to the accounting department was perfect. Yes, I'm going right now." I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and ran to the main entrance where the electrical panel was located. I opened it and pretended to be confused for a moment. "Mr. Thompson, there are so many switches. I don't know which one it is. It's the biggest one, the red one. Flip it upward." His voice shouted from far away. I flipped the main breaker. Blick. The office lights turned back on. The power was restored. "It's back on, Mr. Thompson." What a terrible fright that was. "Come here and help me clean this up. This outlet is all wet. Bring a dry cloth and wipe this area immediately." "Coming," shouted back. I ran inside, but instead of going to the kitchen area, I went straight to Mr. Thompson's desk. My heart felt like it was going to explode out of my chest. The computer had power again. With trembling hands, I pressed the power button to turn it on. While waiting for it to start up, I strained my ears listening. I could still hear Mr. Thompson complaining in the kitchen area. What a disaster. An electrical short circuit like that could have burned down the entire building. The computer turned on. I quickly inserted my USB drive into the port. My hands were shaking so violently I missed the USB port several times. Calm down, I told myself silently. I opened the computer. I didn't know if he had put a password on the file. I went to the D drive, then to the accounting folder, then internal. And there it was. Truth.exe. I held my breath and double-clicked the file. A dialog box appeared on the screen. Enter password. No. Froze in place. Password. What was the password? What do I do now? Mr. Thompson was about to come out any second. Panicked completely. I looked frantically at his desk. There was a yellow sticky note attached to the side of his computer monitor. Annual review, March 15th. That must be it, I thought, trembling. I typed 0315. Pressed enter. Incorrect password. Oh God, that wasn't it. What could it be? I looked at his desk calendar. Mr. Thompson had one day marked in red ink. December 25th, Christmas. I quickly typed 1225. Pressed enter. Incorrect password again. Maya, why are you taking so long? Where is that cloth? Mr. Thompson shouted. His voice sounded like he was starting to come out of the kitchen. I was desperate. What should I do? Should I just give up? Well, I looked at the computer screen again. I remembered that Mr. Thompson was a very careful, meticulous person. The password must be something he would absolutely never forget. I remembered the file name. Truth. What reminds people of truth? Truth reminds me of justice, of honesty. Mr. Thompson was an honest man. I quickly typed, Thompson followed by 1978, the year I had seen on an old ID card on his desk once. Pressed enter. The file opened. Oh my God, it worked. The file opened up on the screen. I could see everything. All the real contracts, all the real money, all the transfers. Mr. Thompson came out of the kitchen area. I startled badly. I quickly plugged in my USB drive properly and right-clicked on the truth file. Copy. Progress bar appeared. Come on, faster. I thought desperately. Maya, what are you doing over there? Mr. Thompson called out. He was walking toward his desk. The progress bar showed 10%, 20%, 30%. I was panicking. Mr. Thompson, I was looking for. I couldn't think of an excuse. He was getting closer. 50%, 60%, 70%. My hands were shaking violently. 80%, 90%. Mr. Thompson reached his desk. He looked at me, then at his computer screen, and then at my USB drive plugged into his computer. His face changed color. What are you doing, Maya? His voice trembled with shock and maybe anger. I didn't know what to do or say. I was completely finished. He was going to scream. He was going to call Robert and I would lose everything. Hey. I stammered helplessly. The progress bar hit 100%. Copy complete. The message appeared on the screen. Mr. Thompson saw the message. He looked at me with a very complex expression on his face. A mixture of anger, fear, and something else I couldn't identify. Completely desperate, I dropped to my knees right there. Mr. Thompson, I beg you, I plead with you. Don't tell Robert. Please, Mr. Thompson raised his hand quickly, signaling me to be quiet and stop talking. He quickly went to the office door and looked out into the hallway. No one was there yet. He firmly closed the door and locked it from inside. He turned back to me, still kneeling on the floor. Stand up right now, he said in a cold voice. What do you want that file for? Tell me the complete truth. You already know everything, don't you? About Robert and Jessica. I was in complete shock. You know about them. Mr. Thompson laughed bitterly, a tired, sad laugh. In this law office, who doesn't know? Everyone knows except you. Or at least everyone thought you didn't know. I came back because I forgot my reading glasses. But it seems I came back at exactly the right time. Mr. Thompson, I started crying real tears this time. Beg you. Please understand. He is so cruel to me. He wants to divorce me and leave me with a $75,000 debt that doesn't even exist. Him and Jessica, they have a plan. I have to save myself. I have to save my daughter Emma. Mr. Thompson looked at me for what felt like a very long time, and then he sighed deeply. I know, Maya. I know everything. I've been working here for many years. I know exactly what kind of person Robert really is. He uses me to create fake books, to avoid paying taxes to the government. I've looked the other way because of the money he pays me, but I'm also a human being. I'm disgusted by the way he treats you. He bent down, pulled my USB drive out of the computer, and handed it directly to me. Take it, he said firmly. Pretend I didn't see anything today. Pretend I didn't come back. I couldn't believe what was happening. Just go now, Mr. Thompson said in a firm but kind voice. Take that file and don't show up here again starting tomorrow. With this evidence in your hand, you don't need to pretend to be the cleaning lady anymore. And don't say I was the one who helped you. I don't want any trouble with Robert. My help is my way to make up for some of my guilt. It was him. He had purposely left the password visible that morning. He had given me the chance. I looked at him, my face covered with tears of relief and gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'll be grateful forever. Don't thank me, he said, pushing me gently toward the door. Just go quickly. And use that file intelligently and wisely. Don't let Robert know you have it until the very last moment. I nodded repeatedly. I clutched the USB drive, my most precious weapon, to my chest. I bowed deeply to Mr. Thompson and then ran out of the office as fast as I could. I ran like my life depended on it, holding tight to mine and my daughter's salvation. I had the evidence now. Now, Robert, just wait for me. Just wait. After that fateful night, I didn't return to the law office ever again. The next morning, I called Robert using my usual weak, trembling voice. Robert, I'm sorry. I can't come to work at the law office anymore. Robert shouted angrily into the phone. What's wrong now? You just started and you're already complaining and quitting. No, it's not that at all. Yesterday, Jessica said some very mean things to me. She called me a parasite and a burden. I felt so humiliated and hurt. I can't handle it anymore. I'd rather stay home taking care of Emma. Please, Robert. I knew perfectly well that Robert would never ask Jessica if it was actually true. Hearing that I felt humiliated and was withdrawing voluntarily, giving up on my own, he could only be happy about it. Fine, do whatever you want, Maya. And he hung up the phone abruptly. So I returned to my role as a stay-at-home mom. But my mind wasn't at home at all. I made several backup copies of the USB drive. I sent one copy to my mother to keep in her safe deposit box at the bank. I hid another inside an old stuffed teddy bear of Emma's. And a third copy I encrypted and stored in an anonymous cloud storage service online. The weapon was loaded, prepared, and hidden. I was just waiting for the perfect opportunity. And the opportunity came much faster than I ever expected. Robert started coming home more frequently, but not to have dinner with me and Emma. He came to pack his belongings. He took his best suit, his expensive cologne. He was openly moving out bit by bit. Jessica, just as I had suspected, was truly pregnant with his baby. She didn't come to the law office as much anymore. Robert told me he had to travel constantly for work, but I knew he was in another apartment taking care of his pregnant mistress. One day, I was feeding Emma applesauce when Robert suddenly walked in looking furious. But strangely, he didn't shout at me. He just sat on the couch and stared at me. Maya, I need to talk to you right now. I jumped up, pretending to be startled. Yes, Robert. Is it something important? He went straight to the point without any introduction. Maybe he thought I was already so defeated and useless that he didn't need to continue the act of the struggling lawyer. I want a divorce from you, Maya. Those words, even though I had prepared myself 1,000 times for them, still caused real pain in my chest. The pain was genuine. What are you saying? I dropped the applesauce spoon on the floor. Robert laughed with disdain and cruelty. The same cruel smile I had seen in his office that terrible day. You heard me perfectly right. Divorce. I don't feel anything for you anymore. Living with you is complete hell. I jumped up, my voice shaking. You don't feel anything anymore? Hell. How dare you say that? What about Emma? What about our daughter? Robert shrugged his shoulders like he didn't care at all. Don't worry about it. Even after the divorce, I'll do my responsibilities. But to be completely honest with you, I already have someone else in my life. He admitted it. He admitted it openly and shamelessly. Who is it? Is it Jessica? I screamed. Robert smiled sideways. You already knew. That's even better then. Yes, it's Jessica. She's better than you in every single way. He paused as if to deliver the final, crushing blow. She's pregnant with my baby right now. Oh my God. Even knowing it, even having heard it before, when he said it so shamelessly to my face, I felt my blood boiling with rage. You're an animal. I screamed, running at him, scratching his face. How dare you? How dare you do this to us? What did I do wrong? I sacrificed everything for you, and you go to bed with another woman and get her pregnant. You horrible person. Robert pushed me away easily. Fell hard on the floor. He straightened his shirt and looked at me with pure disgust. Are you done with the dramatic scene? It's exactly because of that attitude and behavior that I got sick of you. A neglectful, boring woman who only knows how to yell and cry. Look at yourself. How pathetic you are. He was humiliating me in my own home, our home. Okay, fine, he said in a firm, cold voice. I'm going to be very clear with you. First, divorce. Second, this house is mortgaged to the bank and will be taken by them soon. You won't keep anything from it. Third, my law office is truly bankrupt. I'm full of debt. If you want, I'll divide it all with you, meaning you'll get half the debt too. He was still using the story of bankruptcy and debt to scare and manipulate me. He thought I was still the fool I was before. I sat on the floor and cried. Cried really hard. I cried for the 7 years of my youth I threw away on a terrible person. I cried for my stupidity and blindness. I don't want anything, I sobbed. I won't fight you. I don't want any debts. I just want. I raised my tearful eyes to him. My most important performance was beginning. The performance that would decide Emma's future. I crawled on the floor and grabbed Robert's legs in a humiliating gesture. A gesture I never thought I would do, but I had to do it. I had to perfectly play the role of a defeated, completely broken woman. Robert, please, I beg you. You say you have someone else, another baby. I accept it, I said through my sobs, my face covered in tears and mucus. Do you really accept? Robert looked suspicious. I nodded my head repeatedly, as happy as a desperate person who finds any tiny hope. Yes, I accept everything. Do you have the papers? I'll sign them. The papers are already prepared and ready. He coldly threw a stack of papers onto the coffee table, just like in the nightmare I had imagined. The mutual consent divorce agreement, already with his signature on it. He pointed to a specific clause. No shared assets exist. No share. Debts exist. The minor child, Emma, remains under the custody of the mother, Maya. The father, Robert, is exempt from paying child support completely. It was even crueler than his original plan. He didn't even write temporarily. He wrote exempt to free himself from all responsibilities forever. Sign it, he said, throwing the pen at me. With trembling hands, I picked up the pen. Tears fell again, but this time no one knew they were tears of joy and victory. He, with his arrogance and cruelty, had just given me the greatest gift of all. He had just signed his own prison sentence. I signed Maya Chen. My signature this time was firm and strong. Robert snatched the paper from my hand, checked the signature carefully, and smiled with satisfaction. Perfect. Now pack your things and Emma's things and disappear. The bank is coming to take the house this week. I don't want them to find you here. It would be another complication for me. He lied without even blinking. The house was being paid for normally, but with his law office's real money, he could have paid it off completely if he wanted. He just wanted me to leave as quickly as possible. I'll be at the family court the day after tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Let's finish this officially. With that cold statement, he turned and walked toward the door. He didn't even look into Emma's room where his own daughter was playing. The front door slammed shut. I remained sitting on the floor. The crying stopped immediately. I slowly stood up and dried my tears. A cold smile appeared on my lips. Robert, you've played your part perfectly. Now it's my turn to take center stage. I walked into Emma's room and hugged her tightly. Emma, my precious baby. We're free now. Come on, sweetheart. Let's pack our things. We're going to a much, much better place. My daughter looked at me confused and then smiled her beautiful smile. Her smile was my sunshine and my strength. Yes, I was going to give my daughter the best life ever, with my $36 million and with her father's complete downfall. On the day of the court hearing, it was raining heavily in Seattle, as if the rain wanted to wash away the last pieces of my 7-year marriage. With Emma in my arms, I deliberately dressed in my oldest, most worn-out clothes and waited by the courthouse entrance. Robert and Jessica arrived much later. He was driving a luxury car I had never seen before. He opened the door and helped Jessica out like she was royalty. Jessica wore an elegant, expensive maternity dress, designer sunglasses, and an arrogant expression on her face. Her belly was clearly showing now. They walked right past me. Robert didn't even look at his own daughter in my arms. He looked at me and said harshly, "Get inside. Let's get this over with quickly." The mutual consent divorce hearing was incredibly fast and simple. The judge, an older woman with a tired expression, looked at the paperwork. "Maya and Robert Chen, have you both thought this through carefully?" "Yes," we replied at the exact same time. The judge read, "The parties agree that the minor child Emma remains under the custody of the mother Maya, and the father Robert is completely exempt from paying any child support. No shared assets or debts exist between the parties. Is this correct?" My heart sank hearing "exempt from paying child support," but I pretended to lower my head and mumbled in a trembling voice, "Yes, it's correct." Robert replied clearly and firmly, "Correct, Your Honor." Jessica, sitting in the back row of the courtroom, smiled sideways. Her smile was like 1,000 needles stabbing into me. "Just wait," I thought. "Laugh now because you'll cry very soon." "The court approves the divorce agreement," the judge said. "As of today, you are no longer husband and wife." The gavel struck. Boom. A dry, final sound that ended everything. I left the courthouse with Emma in my arms. Robert and Jessica were ahead of us, whispering and laughing as if they had just gotten rid of a huge burden. He didn't even turn around to say goodbye to his daughter. I stood in the pouring rain, hugging my daughter tightly. I was free now. A 32-year-old woman betrayed by her husband, supposedly with nothing, a child in her arms, standing in the rain. This was the image Robert wanted to see, and it was the image I gave him. But he didn't know. In the pocket of my old coat was a brand new phone, and in my mother's bank account was $36 million. I didn't return to the tiny, horrible rental room I had moved to after leaving our house. No, that place was just part of my act and performance. I grabbed my daughter and called a luxury car service to the most exclusive, expensive area of Seattle. A high-rise luxury condominium complex overlooking Puget Sound and the beautiful water. "The address, please." The driver looked at me in the rearview mirror. A poorly dressed woman with a small child, asking to go to one of the most expensive places in all of Seattle. But I didn't care what he thought. I had used my money. Well, technically my mother's money, to buy a luxury condominium there in her name. I paid almost $1.5 million for it. I needed an absolutely secure place for me and my daughter. A place with 24-hour security, with controlled access. A place where Robert wouldn't think I could possibly be, even in his wildest dreams. Entering the new apartment was like entering a completely different world. A beautiful condo with luxury furnishings. Huge windows with breathtaking views of the water and mountains. Emma, who had only known our small house since she was born, was absolutely thrilled at the sight of all the space. She shouted with pure joy and ran everywhere exploring. I set her down on the soft, warm carpet and went to the bathroom. I got under the shower and let the water run hot and strong. I scrubbed myself as if I wanted to wash away all the dirty traces of the last terrible year. I cried under the water. This time I cried tears of relief and freedom. That night, I ordered the best takeout food from fancy restaurants. I didn't need to look at prices anymore. I bought a whole pile of new toys for Emma. I threw away all my old, ugly clothes. I called my mother on the phone. "Mama, I'm divorced now." My mother's voice on the other end sounded so relieved. "Yes, thank God above. You're free, my daughter. And now, what are you going to do next?" I looked at the city of Seattle, all illuminated and beautiful through the huge windows. The lights shone like thousands of diamonds. "Mama," my voice sounded cold and determined. "Now is when I really start. I'm not going to let them live in peace and happiness. I'm going to take everything back. I'm going to make them pay for what they did." Hung up the phone. I opened my laptop computer. I opened the USB drive that Mr. Thompson had accidentally given me. It was time to find one specific person. A person who hated Robert as much as I did. My revenge plan had officially begun. The first name on my list was Marcus. A former partner Robert had told me about one night when he was drunk, boasting about how he had cleverly pushed him out of the law office. I didn't know very much about Marcus. I only vaguely remembered Robert bragging that the law office had been started by both of them together. Marcus was the legal research and case strategy expert, professionally excellent and brilliant, while Robert handled the client relations and business side. When the law office started making good profit, Robert used accounting tricks to deceive Marcus, making him sign documents that created fake debts, and forcing him out of the partnership empty-handed and with a huge debt. Sounded very familiar to me. Apparently, I wasn't his first victim at all. I couldn't look for Marcus personally. If I started asking questions and the news reached Robert's ears, he would immediately suspect something. An ex-wife looking for her husband's former partner. Why would she do that? I decided to use my money. I searched online for a reliable, trustworthy private detective agency. I paid a considerable amount to find all the information about a man named Marcus Williams, the former founding partner of Robert Chen's law office. My request was clear: speed and absolute secrecy. 3 days later, I had a thick file on my desk. Marcus Williams, 43 years old. After being deceived by Robert, he went completely bankrupt. His wife divorced him and took their children. He currently owned a small legal consulting business in Tacoma, Washington. The business was losing money and had debts with the bank and private lenders. He was completely cornered. Perfect. A man who has nothing left to lose is the most dangerous ally you can have. I drove my brand new car, also in my mother's name of course, to Tacoma. I didn't dress luxuriously. I wore a simple but clean and professional skirt suit. I didn't want to scare him, but I also didn't want him to underestimate me. Marcus's office was in a run-down building on a side street. It was a small, shabby space with a sound of old copy machines and filing cabinets. I walked in, and the smell of old coffee and dusty papers filled my nose. A middle-aged man, unshaven and with a wrinkled shirt, was working at a desk covered with papers. He looked defeated and tired, but his eyes were still bright and intelligent. The eyes of a talented but unlucky man. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Mr. Marcus Williams." The man looked up and wiped his hands on a rag. He squinted at me suspiciously. "That's me. Who's asking? Are you here for legal help?" I shook my head. "I'm not here for legal help. I want to talk to you about something very important. A very important matter." Marcus looked me up and down, suspicious. "I don't have time for games. As you can see, I'm busy. If it's not work, I'm going to ask you to leave." "The matter is related to Robert Chen," I said clearly. I had barely finished speaking when the pen in his hand fell to the floor with a loud clatter. He jumped up, his body tense as a tight wire. His eyes red with fury and rage. "What did you say? Robert Chen? Who are you?" I looked him directly in the eyes and said clearly and firmly, "My name is Maya. I am Robert Chen's ex-wife." Marcus was stunned silent. Then he laughed bitterly. "Ex-wife? What kind of trick is this? Did he send you here to take away this junky office too? Go tell him I'd rather die than give him anything else. He already tricked me once. That was more than enough for me." "You're wrong," I said. My voice turned cold. "I'm just like you. I was also just tricked and betrayed by him. Kicked out of my home without a single penny. He stole everything from me and is now living happily with his mistress and their new baby." Marcus's look of rage slowly transformed into shock. He looked at me and saw the sincerity in my eyes. He saw the same hatred he felt burning inside him. "Are you serious?" he stammered. "I didn't come here to complain or cry." I stepped closer. "I came to ask you one question. Do you hate him? Do you want to take back everything he stole from you? Do you want to see him bankrupt, empty-handed, just like he made us?" In that noisy, dusty office, two people, two victims of Robert Chen, looked at each other. I saw a flame rekindle in Marcus's eyes from the cold ashes. He clenched his teeth hard. "Hate. I want to destroy him. I want to see him lose everything." He nodded. "Excellent. Then, Mr. Marcus, let's become partners in revenge." Marcus looked at me suspiciously. "Partners? How?" You say you don't have money. I'm also about to close down and lose everything. What can two people with nothing do against him? I smiled slightly, a smile I had held back for such a long time. You're half right. You're about to close down. But I opened my briefcase and took out a folder. I have nothing except two things. First, evidence of tax evasion, illegal asset transfers, and all the real accounting for Robert's law office. Marcus's eyes went wide. He grabbed the folder with trembling hands and started looking through it quickly. Being a lawyer, he immediately understood that it was genuine and real. My God, how did you get this? You don't need to know how, I continued in a calm voice. And second, and more importantly, how much money do you need to destroy his law practice? Marcus looked at me as if I were crazy. He didn't understand what was happening. A woman who had just been kicked out of her home with nothing, holding secret financial ledgers and asking how much money he needed. She must be joking with me. He still didn't believe it. The Robert of today is not the same as before. His law office is strong and established. He has many important connections. Destroying him is not a joke. Takes a lot of money. How much is a lot? Ask directly. You're the best at legal strategy and casework. You know his strengths and weaknesses. Tell me exactly. Marcus took a deep breath. The flame in his eyes grew bigger. This was the opportunity of his lifetime. To destroy Robert. We can't compete in small ways. We have to take a different, faster, stronger path. His clients come mainly because of his reputation and connections, not quality. But lately people want genuine expertise and better results. If we secure partnerships with the best legal experts in the region, use new technology and better case strategies to produce superior results at competitive prices, we can steal all his important clients. For that, we need a new modern office, new legal research software and databases, and most importantly, capital. Money to hire top lawyers, money to pay off the debts of this office of mine. He paused and looked at me, almost shouting, At least $600,000 is the absolute minimum. He stated the amount as a test. He thought I would faint or run away. I remained silent. $600,000. In my revenge plan, that amount was already expected and anticipated. I looked him directly in the eyes. Agreed. I will give you $600,000. Once again, the office seemed to stop completely. The sound of the old copy machine outside seemed to go silent. Ooh. Mr. Marcus took a step backward. Are you in your right mind? $600,000. Where are you going to get that kind of money? I won't waste time with explanations. I took out my phone and opened my mother's bank app. I had full power of attorney over it. I hid the total balance. I only showed him that I could make a transfer. Mr. Marcus, I don't have time for games. Have the money. Where it comes from, you don't need to know. You only need to know that it's completely legal money and that it's for our revenge. I continued. I'm not giving you the money directly in your hand. We're going to create a new law practice together. You choose the name. You, with your experience and knowledge, will be the managing partner responsible for all operations. You will have 25% of the company's shares. I will be the silent investor with 75% of the shares. I will not interfere in your area of expertise. I only demand two things: a weekly financial report and the final goal. Robert's law office has to go completely bankrupt. I handed him a contract I had already prepared with a lawyer. I had everything planned out. This $600,000, I pointed to the contract, will be transferred as soon as the new law practice is established. $300,000 to pay your debts and build the new office. $300,000 to hire top legal talent and invest in technology. Can you do it? Marcus, trembling, read the contract quickly. The terms were clear and fair. To a man about to drown, a golden life raft had suddenly been thrown to him. He raised his head, his eyes filling with tears, not of weakness, but of a man who had been crushed for too long. Maya, he clenched his fists. Do you trust me this much? I don't trust you personally, I said coldly. I trust your hatred. I believe that a talented man stabbed in the back by his best friend, who stole everything from him including his wife and children, will never forget that debt. I'm investing in your hatred. Don't disappoint me. Marcus squeezed his hands tightly, veins bulging. He nodded with determination. Agreed. Except, I, Marcus Williams, swear to you that I will use this $600,000 in my own life to drag that terrible person Robert Chen straight to hell. I will make him kneel and beg for mercy. He nodded. Excellent. Then choose the company name. Marcus thought for just a second, looked at me and looked around his failing office. Phoenix Legal Partners. We, the two of us, will be reborn from the ashes of what he destroyed. Phoenix, I murmured to myself. An excellent name. I extended my hand. It's a pleasure to meet you, partner Marcus. I hope we have a very successful partnership. Marcus squeezed my hand firmly. The handshake of two destroyed people sealed their alliance. The chess game had begun. The first and most decisive move had been made. 8 months passed in what felt like a blink. My life was now a completely different picture, one that the Maya of 8 months ago wouldn't even dare to dream about. Emma and I lived in our luxury condominium with absolute security and comfort. I brought my parents from Idaho to live with us. At first, they were in complete shock, thinking I was involved in something illegal. I had to explain very carefully. I didn't tell the complete truth about the lottery. I only said that I had used my last savings. I lied, saying it was money my mother had given me as a wedding gift years ago, to invest with a trusted friend in a legal business. Seeing my secret business doing well, my parents believed me. They stayed home taking care of Emma, taking her to and picking her up from an excellent international preschool. Seeing my daughter happy and healthy, speaking English beautifully, and my parents healthy and smiling filled my heart with warmth and joy. I was no longer the neglectful, boring housewife Maya. I started taking care of myself properly. I practiced yoga, went to nice spas, read books, studied finance and investment strategies. I didn't want my $36 million to just sit there. I wanted it to grow, to become the strongest shield for my life and my daughter's future. But a big part of my mind never rested. The revenge plan. Just as I predicted, Marcus was like a true phoenix. With the opportunity and resources, he rose spectacularly from the ashes. With the $600,000, he worked like an absolute machine. He paid all his debts, rebuilt his office into a modern professional space, and immediately started recruiting. With his talent, legal knowledge, and determination, he convinced several top lawyers to join. He signed partnership agreements with legal research firms and technology companies. Phoenix Legal Partners was born without any noise or publicity, but it was like a sharp knife aimed directly at Robert's law office's weakest point. Every week, Marcus sent me detailed reports. I read them as if they were an exciting revenge novel. First week. Phoenix starts operations. Robert hears the news and laughs with his staff. That broke loser Marcus still hasn't learned his lesson. He managed to borrow a few bucks and wants to get back in business. Let's see how many days he lasts this time. First month. Phoenix launches its first major case, winning a very difficult lawsuit that Robert's office had turned down. Clients start to notice and talk. Robert remains calm, thinking it's just beginner's luck. Third month. Marcus, using his old professional contacts and excellent reputation, wins 3 more major cases. One client was Robert's, a big corporation. Robert starts to get irritated. He calls the client, tries to negotiate, even threatens them, but it's useless. The client tells him directly, Marcus's legal work is better, faster, and more thorough. Why would I stay with you? 5th month. The rail storm begins. Phoenix launches a client outreach program, offering free initial consultations and case reviews. They use new technology and databases that Robert's office doesn't have. Robert's biggest clients, his main source of income, start switching over to Phoenix. Orders and contracts are cancelled in a massive wave. Robert's law office begins to shake and crumble. He doesn't understand. He can't figure out how Marcus, a man he had completely crushed, has so much money to play such an aggressive, expensive game. Little did he know that the $600,000 I gave Marcus was just the beginning. If necessary, I was willing to invest another $500,000, another full million. I didn't lack money. What I lacked was the satisfaction of revenge. 8th month. Marcus's report had only one simple line. Robert has started borrowing money from dangerous loan sharks. He has completely run out of cash and liquidity. I read that line with immense pleasure and satisfaction. Why did he run out of money? Because the $3 million he had secretly diverted were invested in Chan Brothers Holdings LLC. He bought real estate, luxury cars, and a house for his mistress Jessica. That money was frozen in assets. It couldn't be withdrawn immediately or easily. And his real law office, which for years showed fake losses and avoided paying taxes, how could he ask the bank for a business loan with those terrible financial reports? He fell into his own trap that he had created. I knew Jessica had given birth to a son, but Robert didn't have the time or peace of mind to celebrate. He came home and broke furniture. He insulted Jessica, calling her bad luck, saying she had cursed him with that pregnancy and baby. Jessica didn't stay quiet either. He fought back. You promised me this and that, and now you're a complete failure and loser. Their love nest turned into absolute hell. The fall was fast and brutal. When Robert couldn't pay the office rent, the landlord evicted them. When he couldn't pay salaries, all the employees quit and left. When he couldn't pay the interest to the loan sharks, they went to his office to threaten him, break things and take whatever they could. Robert's law office, after 8 months of being next to his mistress in their supposed glory, officially declared bankruptcy. He lost absolutely everything. The day I heard the news, I opened a bottle of expensive sparkling cider. I stood on my balcony looking at the Seattle night skyline. Robert, this has only been the appetizer. The main course is coming soon. Robert's downfall was major news in the legal community. A young, rising lawyer who suddenly went bankrupt in less than a year. Rumors spread everywhere. Some said he got into gambling. Others said he was a victim of a competitor. That competitor was Marcus's Phoenix legal partners, obviously. Only Marcus and I knew who the true architect behind everything was. Robert disappeared from public view. He didn't dare return to the luxury apartment, which was foreclosed by the bank, or to his old office, now occupied by angry loan sharks. He, Jessica, and their newborn baby son had to move to a cheap, run-down rental room in a dangerous neighborhood on the outskirts of Seattle. I thought he would sink and disappear forever, but I was wrong. I underestimated his shamelessness and audacity. He found me. He found me in a way I could never have imagined, through my father. My father, after coming to Seattle and seeing his successful, wealthy daughter, even without knowing the source of the money, felt very proud. He used to go to the neighborhood coffee shop to chat and show off to his friends. My Maya is such a smart girl. She's a boss now. She lives in a luxury condominium. She drives an expensive car. That ex-husband of hers was completely blind to let her go. One of those friends happened to know a distant relative of Robert's family. The news eventually reached his ears. Maya, the ex-wife he had kicked out, lives in a luxury home. She drives an expensive car. He's successful. He became absolutely furious. He didn't believe that a woman he thought was stupid and helpless could get rich so quickly. He started investigating, spying at the coffee shop where my father went, and eventually discovered my address, the high-rise luxury condominium complex. One afternoon I was returning from picking up Emma at preschool. The elevator doors opened in the lobby, and I froze completely. Robert was standing right there. He no longer had the elegant, professional appearance from before. He was thin, dirty, unshaven, wearing stained clothes, and his eyes were bloodshot and wild. He looked at me and the luxurious building behind me. Maya, you. He stammered, pointing at me with a shaking finger. I took a deep breath. I had prepared for this moment. Calmly, I picked up Emma in my arms, holding her protectively. What are you doing here, Robert? He shouted. Where did you get this money? You tricked me. You had money and hid it from me. I smiled calmly. Having or not having money, what does that matter to you? Have you forgotten? We're divorced. You were the one who abandoned us. You signed the papers yourself. Robert seemed to wake up from a trance. He realized that shouting was completely useless. He changed his strategy immediately. He fell to his knees right there on the lobby floor. Maya, please, he started begging. He crawled toward me, trying to grab my legs. I backed away quickly, hugging Emma tightly. He started crying, his face covered in tears and mucus. I know I made a terrible mistake, Maya. Forgive me, please. The mistake was all Jessica's fault. She was the one who seduced me, who tricked me. She's the bad luck in my life. I've already kicked her out. I've kicked out her and her baby. Oh my God. He had kicked out Jessica and his own newborn son. What a cruel, heartless man. Come back to me, Maya. Let's start over. Think of Emma. Our daughter needs a father. You're so rich now. Help me, please. I'm broke. I'm full of debt. Give me one chance. I swear I'll love you and Emma forever. I'll be your servant. He was kneeling with his head on the floor. Right there in the condominium lobby, security guards started paying attention. I looked at the man who was once my husband, the father of my child. My heart felt absolutely empty of any feeling except pure disgust. Robert, I said in an icy voice, do you remember the day in court? You signed the agreement. You declared with complete certainty that you would not pay child support. You abandoned your daughter without a shred of remorse. Now that you're broke and desperate, you come back wanting a daughter and a wife. I was blind and stupid because of her at the time. He defended himself desperately. What I have today has nothing to do with you at all. This money is mine. You want to know where it came from? I decided to tell him. The truth would kill him. I won the lottery, I said clearly. I won the Mega Millions, $50 million, the very same day I went to your office and heard you with her. Robert raised his head suddenly. His face went from pale to white and then turned purple. He stood there with his mouth hanging open. He understood everything. He understood what he had thrown away. You won. He hissed like a wounded, dying animal. Yes, I smiled coldly. You threw away $50 million. Well, technically $25 million, that would have been yours if we stayed married. But don't worry. I used the money very, very well. Phoenix Legal Partners, Marcus's law practice that destroyed your career, was financed by me. $600,000. Surprised. You're the one who. He went completely insane and tried to attack me. Security. Shouted. 2 strong security guards ran over and grabbed Robert, dragging him outside forcefully. From now on, this man is prohibited from entering this building ever again. I don't want to see him anywhere near here. Robert was dragged away, shouting and insulting me. You evil woman. You tricked me. You set a trap for me. I'm going to sue you. The money was won during the marriage. You have to give me half. Give me back my money. I calmly turned my back and entered the elevator with my daughter. Just as I had predicted. His greed would never die. He was going to sue me. Perfect. I was waiting for that too. The courtroom would be his final stage. His final destruction. As expected, 1 week later, I received an official court summons. Robert was suing me, demanding the division of marital assets. His allegation. I had won the lottery during our marriage but deliberately concealed it, deceiving him into agreeing to divorce so I could keep all the money as my own. He demanded half, $25 million. The case became an absolute scandal. Robert, with his shamelessness, spread the story to every press outlet and media company. He invented a tragic story about himself. A victim of a manipulative, evil woman who won the lottery and conspired with a competitor to destroy him. From a bankrupt lawyer, he became a pitiful victim in the public eye. The press, the curious crowd, started pointing fingers at me. The woman who won $50 million and destroyed her husband. The ungrateful woman who got rich and abandoned her family. My parents were worried and scared. The few friends I had left called me concerned. Only I was completely calm. Don't worry, I told them. I haven't done anything wrong. Justice will be on my side. I didn't need the most expensive lawyer. I just needed a competent one because in this game, evidence was the king. On the day of the trial, reporters packed the courthouse entrance. Robert arrived in a borrowed car, deliberately wearing old, ripped clothes with a pitiful expression. He cried for the cameras dramatically. I only hope the court will give me justice and return a father to my daughter. Give me back what is rightfully mine. I stepped out of my nice car wearing an elegant white suit. I didn't say a single word to the press. I walked into the courtroom with complete serenity and confidence. In the hearing, Robert's lawyer was aggressive and loud. He presented the lottery ticket as evidence. He had investigated the date the prize was won and the date of our divorce, only weeks apart. He argued loudly. The prize money is clearly marital property acquired during the marriage. The defendant intentionally concealed it, acting in pure bad faith to trick my client into agreeing to divorce. This is a clear act of asset concealment and fraud. All eyes in the courtroom turned to stare at me. The judge struck her gavel. Does the defendant have anything to say in her defense? I stood up calmly. I didn't look at Robert. I looked directly at the judge. Your Honor, the accusation says I concealed assets. I find that completely ridiculous. I signaled to my lawyer. Your Honor, I request permission to present my evidence now. It's true that I won the lottery, but I concealed it because I discovered a shocking, terrible truth. The person who was concealing assets was not me. I pointed directly at Robert. It was him, Robert Chen. The entire courtroom erupted in murmurs. Robert looked startled. Does the defendant have actual evidence? The judge asked. I do, Your Honor. I ask permission to present it right now. The USB drive with the truth file was connected to the courtroom's display system. The large screen lit up. All of Robert's law office's real accounting appeared. The contracts, the income, the expenses, and the money transfers to the shell company, Chan Brothers Holdings LLC. Your Honor, I said in a firm, strong voice, this is the real accounting of Mr. Robert Chen's law office. While he told me the law office was on the verge of bankruptcy with a $75,000 debt, the truth is he had a net profit of over $3 million. That money was secretly transferred to Chan Brothers Holdings, a company in his brother's name. Is this not asset concealment before divorce, Your Honor? Robert's lawyer jumped up. I object strongly. This evidence was obtained illegally. I smiled coldly. Illegally? Or was it provided by his own head accountant, a person with a conscience, who gave it to me? I lied to protect Mr. Thompson. Robert's face turned white as paper. He was trembling all over, but I wasn't finished yet. Your Honor, he claims I concealed assets. Then I ask, what was his plan to create a fake $75,000 debt to force me into a divorce with absolutely nothing? I pressed play on an audio file. Robert's voice filled the courtroom. Let me handle things with that boring housewife. Once that's sorted, I'm filing for divorce immediately. The intimate sounds, the victorious laughter of Robert and Jessica echoed through the silent courtroom. It was the recording I had made outside his office door that terrible day. Robert collapsed in his chair, completely defeated. He knew he had lost everything. The judge struck the gavel, her face very serious. Does the plaintiff have anything else to say? Robert couldn't say a single word. Your Honor, I delivered the final crushing blow. Mr. Robert Chen's asset concealment and deception are absolutely clear. It's certain that the court will dismiss his petition, but I have something else. I looked at Robert one last time. All the evidence of his law office's tax evasion, totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars over 7 years. I held up a copy of the USB drive. Has already been sent in full to the IRS and the FBI's Economic Crimes Division. What? Robert screamed. At that exact moment, the courtroom doors opened. 2 federal agents walked in. We are from the FBI's White Collar Crimes Unit. We ask that Mr. Robert Chen accompany us immediately to give a statement regarding qualified tax fraud and money laundering charges. Handcuffs clicked onto Robert's wrists right there in front of all the press, in front of me. He was no longer shouting or screaming. He just looked at me with a look of pure hatred and complete despair in his eyes. I turned my back calmly and walked out of the courtroom. In this game of chess I had won completely. After that trial, Robert's life came to an absolute end. His case was front-page news everywhere. He was no longer the poor businessman betrayed by his greedy wife. He was the fraud, the tax evader, the man who deceived his wife and abandoned his daughter. His image, being handcuffed, his face twisted in rage and fear, was broadcast on every news channel. He was sentenced to a very long prison term for tax fraud, money laundering, and document forgery. All his hidden assets were seized by the government. 1 year later, I decided to visit him in prison for the first and very last time. Not for forgiveness or closure, but to finish the chapter completely. I sat down on one side of the glass partition. Robert appeared on the other side, wearing an orange prison uniform, looking thin and much older than his years. "Hello, Robert," I said calmly. He looked at me through the thick glass, his eyes completely empty and dead. "Did you come here just to laugh at me and enjoy my suffering?" "No," I shook my head. "I came to tell you exactly why you lost everything. You didn't lose because of me. You lost because of your own greed, your own cruelty and wickedness. You lost because Phoenix Legal Partners, the law firm that completely destroyed your career, was founded and financed by me. I was the one who gave Marcus $600,000 to start over. I am the majority owner of that company. I used my lottery money to destroy your entire life." He dropped the phone. His spirit died in that very moment. The truth was crueler and more painful than any prison sentence. I turned around and walked away without looking back. Walking out through the prison gates into the bright sunlight, I took a deep breath of freedom. My life was truly beginning now. Today Emma is 6 years old. She is an intelligent, happy, healthy child. Phoenix Legal Partners, under Marcus's excellent leadership, has become a very successful and respected law firm. I have become a respected investor and businesswoman. I haven't remarried or dated anyone. I have my daughter, my parents who live with us. I created a foundation that helps single mothers and victims of emotional abuse and betrayal, just like I was one day not long ago. One beautiful weekend afternoon, I took Emma to fly a colorful kite in the park. The wind was blowing gently, and the kite flew high into the blue sky. Emma laughed and ran across the green grass. My parents, sitting on a park bench nearby, smiled and watched us. I looked at my daughter, my parents, the beautiful blue sky above. My heart was completely at peace. Money definitely has power, yes, but it only has true meaning when it helps us find justice and brings happiness to the people we love most. The nightmare was over and done. Now my life was one of wealth, freedom, and genuine happiness. The happy ending that I fought for and conquered myself. Did you like the story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories just like this one. Thank you so much for your wonderful support. I'm really looking forward to reading your comments about the story. On the screen right now you can see 2 brand new life stories that I highly recommend you watch next. There's so much more content on my channel for you to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to JAMAL'S Stories. See you in the next life story. With love and respect from JAMAL'S Stories.